With that, I'd like to move on to Battalion Chief Tod Patten from CAL FIRE, and maybe you can give us your wisdom, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, my name is Tod Patten. I am the Howard Forest Willits Battalion Chief with CAL FIRE. I promoted to Battalion Chief from Lake Napa in 2008. Lieutenant Barney and myself promoted very close to the same time, morphed into our present roles basically along the same timeline, and as such have developed an incredible relationship to work between law enforcement and CAL FIRE and Brooktrails Fire in local government. I was a station captain and also a Schedule A engineer paramedic. Have a fairly well-rounded background. When it comes to wildland fires in this area, CAL FIRE will respond to wildland fires or a potential wildland fire in the state responsibility area. That is all of this area. We are governed under the Public Resources Code to provide that response. The normal response from us at a dispatch is going to be 4 to 5 fire engines, 2 fire crews, 2 bulldozers, a battalion chief, an air attack, 2 air tankers, and a helicopter. That is our basic response, because in our mission statement, we are trying to keep all fires in what we call an initial attack phase 90% of the time. So if it is a car fire on Sherwood Road, that's what our command center is going to be sending. It is just a tried and true method to keep fires small. We, like I said, we are governed under the Public Resources Code to abate all fires in the watershed area. But we also enter into contracts in areas, not in this county per se, but we also have contractual agreements in different areas of the state to provide local fire protection. Part of our mission is also fire prevention. With that, we do inspections on new construction. If you're building a new house, it's going to, in the state SRA, it's going to have certain requirements, such as the size of letters or numbers you use on your address, access, because our fire engines are big, and defensible space, water supply, that sort of thing. We do defensible space inspections, where we have our engines and we hire some firefighter ones early to provide that. That's when they travel around the area, and we have a goal to meet to how many of these residents that we inspect. Very difficult in Mendocino unit, because in more metropolitan areas such as San Bernardino, even Lake Napa, that sort of thing, there's more houses on the land. Up here, for us to meet our goal, those kids are working long days because they may be able to do 5 in an afternoon, whereas if they're more densely constructed, they could get 15. But we are doing that. And in the Prevention Bureau, they also investigate wildland fires for cause and origin and potential criminal proceedings, working with the Sheriff's Office and local law enforcement. Large incidents, such as what we experienced last year, I can give you a brief explanation in our terminology. We call them initial attack. That's the 90 percentile that we shoot for, whereas we're going to contain and control that fire within the first operational period. If it goes beyond that, it's called extended attack. We're bringing in more resources, and if it continues to develop, such as what we've seen in the last year, it becomes a major incident. That kicks in a lot of procedures where our command center is reaching out via an intercom to North Ops, which is in Redding, and we are asking for resources from all over the northern part of the state. It is second only to the military as the speed that we can mobilize. They can talk on the intercom, talk to North Ops. North Ops will go straight to Fortuna, and 10 engines will start this way within about 15 minutes. Same with aircraft. Our aircraft are spaced out so that an aircraft can be over a fire within 20 minutes. If our aircraft are busy, some will be moving closer. During the mobilization, when it becomes a major incident, Shannon is currently on one of our incident management teams. I spent time as an operations section chief on Incident Command Team 5 years ago. They are made up of folks that specialize in a certain portion of the ICS. They are put together as a team, and they work together, they train together, they spend time together, and they become very cohesive, so that they put out a very fine incident action plan. It is a legal document. They're able to feed and house and still be able to put people on the line to manage these incredible incidents. Bit about the Redwood fire. A little background, I actually had a strike team of engines sitting in Santa Clarita the night that the fire started here. All the fires started in Northern California. Southern California was experiencing a Santa Ana event similar to ours, and we have about 146 state-funded fire engines in the north, and North Op moved 20 of those to pre-position in Southern California. But we still maintained 126 and that's just the CAL FIRE engines. We have a lot of local government also. When the fire started here, there was nothing in Southern California, and all 20 engines were turned around and set up here. But we had to drive quite a distance to get here. The drawdown, we weren't at a drawdown. We still had our peak staffing, which is in Mendocino unit, 16 engines, 10 fire crews, the aircraft, and bulldozers. The large commitment that impacted was we had the fires in Sonoma and Napa. Tremendous requests for resources were coming in from them. We had our own here, and I had to feel a little sympathy for the folks working in North Op, because they were hit with requests that probably were close to all three fires, all three areas, requesting 400 to 500 fire engines. That is a lot of fire engines, irregardless of how many fire crews they were asking for, how many bulldozers. And I have been doing this for a long time, and you get to the point where I'm just going to request it because I know they'll fill the order. Well, they couldn't. They started going to Office of Emergency Services at the state level, who reaches out to local government, have them put their engines into strike team formations and start. They ended up, long story short, going out of state. In this county, we had multiple strike teams of fire crews from Nevada Division of Forestry. They were seamless working with our fire crews because the NDF fire crew model is very similar to ours. They utilize inmate firefighters with fire crew captains. They have a strike team leader, and they did outstanding work in all the areas that I watched or supervised on the Redwood fire once I returned. They went to as far back as I know Tennessee and Wyoming for some overhead positions. So the system, even at the height of drawdown that we were seeing here, was still able to fill most of the resource orders. It just took longer to get there. And then on top of that, we had the Southern California fires in December. I believe somebody referenced that the north wind event that we had in October. In my experience, the north winds in Northern California are a September, late September, mid to late September event. This year, being that far into October, it was a little different. It wasn't a surprise. We have meteorologists that knew it was coming. However, it was just a little out of the ordinary. The Southern California events, I was in Southern California for 2 weeks in an overhead position, and it was actually surreal to be seeing Christmas decorations and have a going fire. I was on the fire that his management team was commanding. Christmas decorations, while we had a going fire that was threatening 3,000 to 4,000 homes. However, they were able to mitigate that, and unfortunately the mudslides caused some damage afterwards. However, it was quite an experience.
What about fireworks?
Well, in what way?
Yes or no?
No. I don't believe in them in our area. They're legal in certain areas. It's kind of a weird situation because where I live in Scotts Valley. I was born and raised in Scotts Valley and work up here. It's only about 15 minutes from the county line. In Lake County, they are illegal in the county. However, the city of Lakeport sells them. And so I'm against fireworks.
Right.
Sorry it took so long to get there.
Could you anticipate a change in policy with regard to open fires in an area like this?
Currently, state law says that a person is allowed to be able to warm himself and to cook food. And that is a very tough situation because we have some homeless folks. And we have, even in the summertime, nighttime temperatures get down. So as currently, if I respond to a bonfire or a campfire, if it is for warming or cooking, it is a legal fire.
I understand.
They are responsible for it.
Yeah, yeah. If I could just ask you a sort of ancillary question. We had a fire here, I think it was towards the end of last year, that was caused by butane used to, I think, create hash oil or hash products. And this was in a domestic situation. Could you talk to that, please?
I think that is definitely a mutual response between local, state, and law enforcement.
Definitely.
Indeed. I'm just thinking, obviously, the response, but in terms of what we as citizens can do with respect to that potential risk.
So any kind of extraction method that uses a volatile fuel is, without it being fully self-contained, which is like a $200,000 operation in itself, is completely illegal. But that doesn't change the fact that we run into them constantly.
Right, indeed.
What I would like to emphasize is relationships. We have, since I've come here, an incredible relationship with the local fire department and with the local law enforcement. We thrive on that. We rely on Brooktrails and local fire for local response, local knowledge, and assist us to mitigate. If there is a fire in Brooktrails, it is their fire district. If it is a structure fire, we respond, just like in the car fire situation. However, if it doesn't spread to the wildland, we're going to help them put their structure fire out. If there's a wildland fire up there, they respond and they help us put the wildland fire. It is a one-stop shop, seamless operation. With the local sheriff's office, we work with them hand in hand on evacuations. I had the Black Fire, we had to evacuate a couple hundred people. I made the request to the command center, and Lieutenant Barney was already at the command post and said it was being taken care of. My closing statements may mimic everybody else's. We beg people to prepare for a disaster. When he talked about a 9.0 earthquake off of this coast, yeah, that's when we could all surf to Denver. I mean, that is an incredible earthquake, and I pray that it doesn't occur. The old saying, ready, set, go, prep today, have your stuff together, think about your medications, some extra spending cash, put it somewhere, plan, have a meeting place, have an escape route, and please keep up the defensible space. It saves homes. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.